Off and running, and we are packed with quarterback news, starting in Atlanta, where Matt Ryan has agreed to a 5-year extension worth $100 million in guaranteed money, as first reported by our Chris Mortensen. Ryan's deal is quite historic, as he becomes the first player in NFL history at any position to receive a deal worth $100 million in guaranteed money, surpassing Matthew Stafford's deal that he signed last September worth $92 million guaranteed. Ryan was entering the final year of a 5-year deal that he signed back in 2013. We'll dive into how this affects the Falcons later in the show. We've got 8 rookie mini camps kicking off today, including in Cleveland, where the #1 overall draft pick, Baker Mayfield, will be taking the field as a Brown for the first time. Dan Graziano is in Cleveland, and we'll have a live report. All that on tap, but our first stop is Florham Park, New Jersey, as the Jets kick off rookie minicamp, and quarterback Sam Darnold, the #3 overall pick in the draft, is on the field working out right now. This is the time for draft picks and undrafted free agents to get acclimated. No veterans allowed. Hi, everyone. Welcome into NFL Live. Get excited, fans. Your teams or your rookies are out on the field. And they're stretching. And they're stretching.
Just keep Sam Darnold in that red jersey. No contact, okay? We don't need any injuries right now.
Tim Hasselbeck, Jeff Darlington, I'm Susie Colbert. So let's start right there with the rookie quarterback, Sam Darnold. I mean, what's it like, especially for a guy high profile, to be taking the field for the first time wearing that uniform?
Well, listen, for a high profile guy, especially in there with all the rookies, you're different than everybody else that's there. I mean, you are, kind of really one of the only ones, if not the only one, that's there that knows this franchise, that they're building something around you. Everybody else that's there is like, all right, am I allowed to do this? Where do I, where can I get another set of gloves? Like, they're all scared to death. And it's really, Sam Darnold, it's kind of an opportunity for him to kind of get acclimated before the veterans get there, because it'll be very different once that happens.
I always love those conversations with the rookies. When they get there, it's like, hey, this isn't so bad. And then the first day the veterans report, it's like, oh, this is a whole different ball game. But this is always a good opportunity for these rookies, like you said, to do the little things, to get a feel for the building, to meet the equipment staff. Couldn't care less about what they do between those lines right now, because what's most important for these rookies is the acclimation to their new facility.
Right, when the vets come, then they'll be carrying shoulder pads and water bottles.
And also, then, and not that the offseason is super intense, but the intensity does ratchet up. And now when you're calling a play in the huddle as a quarterback, you might be calling a play with a guy that's 36 years old in your huddle. It's very different than being there with a bunch of rookies.
Okay, you want to hear from Sam Darnold? He addressed the media earlier today.
My goal is to do whatever the coaches ask me to do, and that's how I'm going to go about it. If they want me to start, great. If they don't, great. I'm just going to be the best that I can be. Get with Coach Bates, get with Josh Teddy, learn everything that is installed that day, and just go about it. It's a daily process that I go through, and if I treat every single day like it's the most important day, I think that's really going to be where my success comes from. Whenever I get the opportunity to play, make the most of it. But if I'm not in, take the mental rep and not take a play off. And that's what I'm planning on doing.
You heard him mention Josh and Teddy, Josh McCown, Teddy Bridgewater. Perhaps this is the greatest quarterback room ever for a rookie to learn and to be embraced.
It's a great point, Susie, because the truth of the matter is he finds himself, Sam Darnold does, in an environment where he maybe doesn't have to play as a rookie, but it'll be in an environment where the guys playing are going to be helpful. It's such an advantage for a quarterback, especially one that's trying to get to the point where he can consistently play well, to be surrounded by other quarterbacks that would like to see him succeed. And I know that Josh McCown has been on the record saying, look, the best thing you could say about Josh would be that in 5 years, Sam Darnold's a Pro Bowl quarterback. And that's helpful. That's because some rookies are going to be fighting against the quarterback room.
And give the Jets credit here. In my conversations with some people with the organization, I learned 2 things, one of which is when they were plucking these guys out, when it was Teddy and Josh, the goal here was to get as many good guys. That's the way it was explained to me. Let's get as many good guys in the quarterback room as possible. And the second thing is, as it was explained to me a day ago, I don't necessarily anticipate that they're going to have to cut one of these. You would think from a distance that with 4 quarterbacks there, they cut Bryce Petty yesterday. Christian Hackenberg is still young. It's possible. I don't know how they would work it, that you could start the season with Bridgewater, McCown, and Darnold in the same quarterback room. And for Darnold's purposes, that's great. For the Jets, it's great because it takes the pressure off of getting the rookie in too quickly.
Yeah, and I don't want to confuse guys being helpful with not wanting to compete. Because think about Teddy Bridgewater. You know, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be trying to find a way to get himself back on the field. I'm sure he views himself as a starter, but I think that's even better for a guy like Sam Darnold. Every drill is going to be competitive. It's not going to be just going through the motions. And so when you are in that environment, you're pushed to get better each and every period of practice. And so I actually think that all these quarterbacks that went in the first round found themselves in good spots. I believe Darnold's to be the best because of the environment, Susie, that you alluded to.
You made a really good point yesterday on the show, too, about the fact that the Bills, for instance, have A.J. McCarron. They don't have – he's not going to get the same support there, Josh Allen, because A.J. McCarron, this is his shot.
Yeah.
Whereas Darnold's probably going to get more support from a guy like McCown, even if Teddy is there to also compete for that.
Something to keep in mind with all of these rookies, they spent months getting in shape, the best shape of their lives, for the combine, for their workouts. But then think about what the last couple of weeks have been like, with the draft coming up and all the road trips, and then the draft happens, and then after the draft you sort of undid everything, hotel rooms, and you're exhausted. So you're not really getting right now what these guys are capable of. They have a little bit of time to kind of work themselves back in. So we'll have more Darnold later. Live reports from Florham Park. Diana Rossini is there. She's taking it all in, so we'll get back there. But right now, we're going to turn the talk to the #1 overall draft pick, Baker Mayfield, whose fiery leadership, never give up attitude, and on-field talent won over the Browns staff. He'll hit the field with his rookie teammates just a bit later. But just minutes ago, he chatted with our Dan Graziano.
So, Baker, we've heard a lot about how you're a college walk-on, now the first pick in the draft. How do you manage the difference in the expectations that come with that?
For me, I can't think about the expectations on the outside. I have to set my own expectations, and I got to strive for those. And so, within the organization, people I've talked to, I have to set them based on, what they want, but then I got to push myself to another level.
What's your relationship like with Tyrod Taylor, and how do you expect that situation to work this summer?
Just met him a couple weeks ago, so it's not the deepest of relationship yet, but I can't wait to learn from him, especially with him and a guy like Drew Stanton. They've been in the league, they've seen things that I haven't, and so just being able to learn from them without necessarily having to directly ask them questions, but just watch how they work, watch how they do certain things, their routines, and that's the type of stuff that I'm excited to learn from them.
How do you operate in your mind in terms of a timetable? You obviously you want to play, but you recognize you have veterans in front of you. How does that work for you in your mind?
Kind of put myself in the best position to play. That I know they're the starter. I know Tyrod's the starter, and I got veterans in front of me. So all I have to do is handle myself. I got to work and get better to where I can even the playing field. Because they've been in the league for a little bit, so I got to even the playing field as much as I can. Whether that's about the playbook, to where then it comes down to just playing, and I can just go compete. So for me, not necessarily a timetable on it. I just got to, ASAP as soon as I can.
What do you expect will be the biggest challenge for you personally as you transition to the NFL?
I think just getting comfortable under center. You talk about the responsibilities I had at the line of scrimmage at Oklahoma. I did it fully, but now it's calling it in the huddle, and then, the verbiage is different. So just getting used to that, and then drops from under center.
So much success last year at Oklahoma. You now join a team that's won one game in the last 2 years. What kind of presence is that in the building and in your mind, and how do you turn this around?
It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. We got a new group. We got a new team, some new coaches on the staff, a lot of new players, and so we're moving forward. This is a moving train, so we got the right guys in the locker room, and I'm looking forward to what we have.
Baker Mayfield on day one of rookie minicamp with the Cleveland Browns.
And now we have Dan live. So, Dan, he certainly said all the right things. But what are his new teammates saying about him?
He makes a strong impression, Susie. Second-round pick Austin Corbett, the offensive lineman, said right away you can tell he's a guy who just keeps his head down and goes to work. He said that probably comes from that walk-on mentality, and obviously they appreciate that. We talked to Damian Ratley, a sixth-round wide receiver out of Texas A&M. and he kind of raved. He said the guy is already demonstrating leadership qualities. He's out there in the huddle, and he definitely seems like a quarterback who's in control of the situation. Obviously, it's just the rookies here, so in a couple weeks it'll be different when Tyrod Taylor is here, and he's the starter. He's getting first-team reps. But right now, Baker Mayfield is making the right kind of impression on his teammates as that kind of leader that the Browns saw in him when they decided to make him the #1 overall pick.
And, of course, you asked Mayfield about what he thinks his timetable is to start. What are the Browns saying about that, realistically?
Yeah, they brought in Tyrod Taylor, who has the experience, and he'll begin the offseason program as the starter, might begin the season as the starter. It's going to come down to those things that Baker was just talking about in terms of picking up the nuances of the position at the pro level, calling a play in the huddle, which he didn't necessarily have to do in college. Susie, I think about 2 years ago when Carson Wentz, who was the third-string guy in Philadelphia, and was, speaking to him the following training camp about what that was like, he said, I had to become that kind of leader among the group that I was with so that then when I became the starter eventually, that would translate and those guys would have seen me doing it. So that, I think, is Baker Mayfield's mission here in the next couple of months. And if he can get on the field to start the season, it will be because he developed quickly in those areas that he spoke about in that interview just now.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Right now, I mean, we can just imagine that Baker Mayfield's head is spinning with everything he knows he's going to have to learn. I mean, the thing that sold them is just that it's the charisma that is just off the charts. Even Dan talking about the rookies are saying he sort of brings that feel, that kind of it factor.
Yeah, he definitely has that, and that is attractive, when you are looking for somebody to lead your team at the quarterback position. And so I think when it comes down to it in terms of when he will be out there, that's going to be a huge part of it. And so right now for the rookie mini camp, that's going to be very different. Again, I said it before, he goes in, he's the #1 guy. Everyone's looking at him like, wow, they're going to build around you here. That's incredible. Everyone else scared to death. And so every second-round pick and undrafted free agent is going to say, yeah, he's really taking charge. But when Tyrod Taylor walks into the building and other veteran players walk into the building, you then have to prove yourself, and there's other guys that are trying to assert themselves as the leader of that offense. Right. And so it's a totally different dynamic, and it'll be interesting to see how that's received when you have somebody like Tyrod, who, again, is a guy that I think views this as maybe his last chance to be a starter.
I appreciated one of the things that Baker said there in terms of he didn't go overboard with talking about his relationship with Tyrod. He wasn't like, oh, it's all great. He was like, hey, it's a brand new relationship. I just met him a few weeks ago. Because that's the kind of thing I sense in an NFL locker room. And I've never played in one, but just being around the guys in there, when a guy is a little too overly
we're great, man. We love each other.
Yeah, like the Tyrod's going to be like, man, I don't even know you. So, like, right. I think that sort of behavior from Baker will be respected by his teammates, maybe more so than like, hey, I'm here, guys. Let's all be friends. You kind of have to earn that, at least from what I sense being around these locker rooms.
Offensive coordinator Todd Haley, of course, came over from Pittsburgh. He compared Baker to an Antonio Brown, who was a 6th-round pick, that it's the guy when you look at him, you don't think this is the big dog, but then somehow he is. Yeah.
Well, listen, and that's obviously how the organization looked at him, because he's average physically. He's just a guy. They drafted him with the #1 overall pick. The Browns decided to take a massive risk on a guy with physical traits that don't match up with being the #1 overall pick. They literally are stacking, their faith in him on his charisma, his personality, his grit, and competitiveness. Yeah. That's what they bought with the #1 overall pick.
It's so funny. I had one executive tell me at one point, like, if this guy was 6'3", he'd be everybody's number. This is before he was actually the #1 pick. He'd be everybody's #1 pick. And I'm like, yeah, but that's a big if. Like, I mean, right. 6 foot, there's a big difference here from a physical trait aspect that we do have to consider. That being said, it does feel like he checks every single other box.
Right, but we can say it again. The Browns do love Tyrod Taylor. It's May 4th. It's Tyrod's team. See what we're saying on September the 9th.
Yep. Yeah.
Coming up on NFL Live. A big move for the Falcons, making Matt Ryan the highest paid quarterback in the league. What does it mean for him? What does it mean for the Falcons? And big picture, what does it mean for the league? And we'll hit on another top quarterback in Carson Wentz. He sat down with our Sal Palantonio to discuss his injury rehab and how expectations haven't changed.
It can be frustrating some days, but at the end of the day, I have my goal in mind, my target date in mind, and again, I'm confident that I'll be able to be out there.